all in black.
All right, aloha, welcome in everybody. We have about 25 attendees signed up for today, so we will just wait a few moments while everybody is getting loaded into our webinar here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being on time. All right, we have 17 so far. Welcome everybody to the Kauai Cultural Programs and Events Grants Webinar 2024-25. Being put on here by the County of Kauai Office of Economic Development. Let's see, we'll give it about a minute more. So just some housekeeping things to consider. The webinar is being recorded and we will post this on our website. If you need to do closed captioning, there's a button at the bottom that says live transcript. If you have a question, please go ahead and type it in the Q&A section and we'll either respond to it there or we can answer it live. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our OED team members who are on the call. So there's myself. My name is Michelle Rego with the County of Kauai Office of Economic Development, and I'm in the tourism sector. I'd like to introduce our fearless leader, Nalani Brune. She is our director here at OED. We have Sandy Kaua, our film commissioner here at OED. And I believe Terry Lynn Martin Haumea, our admin, is also on the call. I want to give a mahalo to Kaya from Leadership Kauai, who is our Zoom webinar host. Thank you so much for helping us out today to keep us organized, and we can go ahead and get started. We have, 19 people, so the rest can just be a little tardy, but that's okay. We are recording today, so that's a great thing. Let's see. So we're going to go through the RFP and talk a little bit about some of the things that come up, some tips for the RFP. And the most important thing is to really read through it. And we're trying to make it as simple as possible for people to really know what they need to include in their application. You can also find the RFP on kauai4.com website or kauai.gov/OED page. So next slide, please. So what is the Kauai Cultural Programs and Events all about? Our efforts to work with the community and people with great ideas to pull things off. We need to do that because we all know that government doesn't always do things very well. And our partners are really the magicians of the world, of the island, who can pull things off that we can't. So we're offering this to support the creation and the maintenance of community events, Hawaiian cultural activities, and experiences for our residents and our visitors' education and enjoyment. Next slide, please. So for eligibility, who's eligible? So you must either be a Kauai-based nonprofit or have a Kauai-based nonprofit as a fiscal sponsor. And all funds from the county must go through a nonprofit. The project must be based 100% in the County of Kauai, and government entities are not eligible. 501c3 is most typical, and Sometimes we get 501c6, which are business type nonprofits, and 501c4, which are agricultural type. A fiscal sponsor may apply with several projects as long as the projects are different. And you will need to submit several documents to show proof that you are, in fact, a nonprofit. We will go over the required items when we go through the application process, and you can also scan the QR code, or we can drop it in the chat. So we can go to the next slide. So project consideration, some things again to consider when you apply is your project based 100% on Kauai or Ni'ihau. Are you or can you become HCE compliant prior to your funding? How do you fit in the eligible project list? Meaning, will you pitch a project that supports the creation or the maintenance of community events, activities, and experiences for our residents and visitors' enjoyment and education? Do you support Native Hawaiian cultural programming and or product enhancement and visitor management programs that relate back to the Kauai Destination Management Action Plan goals, or DMAP, as we like to call it, or the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategic Plan, or SEDS as we call it, and the Kauai General Plan? Do you and or your team have at least some experience in the project or program area that you're proposing or pitching? Next slide. So I just want to note some resources out there that can help you guide you in your pitch and your proposals. So again, these are recommendations that we have already gotten from our community. The county has different plans out there, like the ones that I mentioned. So the 3 that are up here. And please go ahead and take a look through them. Look at some of the recommendations while thinking through your projects, and really link it back to these guiding documents. Tie your projects back to them. So the project amount, OED intends to award grants of $5,000 to $15,000 each for different initiatives that align with RFP project specifications. So the total pot of funding will be approximately $140,000 total. And then, so here's our timeline. So after this webinar, you can ask questions up until next week, Tuesday, which is March 18th at 4 p.m. via oedgrants@kauai.gov. And then we need you to submit your completed application by April 3rd, 4 p.m. So at that time, the applications on SM Apply will close, and you won't be able to make any changes. So just please meet that deadline. So again, April 3rd, 4 p.m. So shortly after that, the selection committee will go ahead and review all the applications that have come in. And after reviewing and scoring your applications, the grantees will be selected and notified the week of April 21st. Contracts are done via electronic signature. So please make sure that you have that capability. And the grant period starts May 1st, or possibly a couple days earlier once all signatures are in place, and then ends on April 30th. So again, the most important date that you guys want to write down is April 3rd, which is the application deadline. So this is how scoring takes place. So you can refer to it on pages 15 to 16 in the RFP. The breakdown is you can actually break it down, and Nalani will talk a little bit about it, but it's broken down, and all of these areas will be equivalent to 100 points. So the next person that we're going to hear from is Nalani. She's going to go over her portion of the RFP and talk a little bit about subjects or important things to consider when you are filling out your application.
Aloha. Okay, well, I'm
Aloha.
gonna share here and hopefully I get it right. And we have. Okay, can everybody see that? So I got it. Okay, great. Well, aloha everyone. I haven't spoken to many of you since the time when we actually used to do this grant, which was quite a while ago. And we're so happy to be able to bring it back to everyone. I don't think we've done it since COVID. So I'm going to be speaking to at the level of any newbies, because I know that some of you are old time grant people and some of you are a little bit newer. So I want to make sure that everyone gets the information that we need. Just a reminder, we are here. We are not an invisible group. We want your questions. And at the end, Michelle will have our information up there so you can contact us. We encourage you to contact us and contact us soon because we really need to hear your questions early so we can help you out. Now, all I'm going to do is, because I know lots of times people forget to go through the RFP, is I'm going to go through the RFP with you, just like I used to do when we did it in person. So here it is, the RFP. I'm sure most of you have downloaded this. If you haven't, the link is in the chat over there. Let's see, so this is all the stuff Michelle's already covered. Here's all the many bajillion pages. I love to be in government items. Bring you right here. Most important, what is an eligible project or activity? Okay, and this one, it's a fun one because a lot of things can fit in here. But basically, this is tourism money. It comes out of the tourism pot. So we usually try to have something that is visitor related or culture related, because we're not going to have a visitor industry without our culture alive and well. So all of those types of programs, even other types of events that come up that you want to offer to residents or residents and visitors, all those things can definitely fit in. Your job is to find a way to explain why it fits in this eligible project bucket. So think about that when you're writing it. It is competitive, so everyone's kind of competing against each other for the funding. So you want to do your best to get it across. Remember that many of us, or the people that are going to be scoring, I'm not one of them, but they may not know anything about your project. So I always encourage people that once you've written out your basic information about your application, give it to someone that doesn't know your project and let them read it and give you some feedback as to whether or not it makes sense to them. That's the best way to do it and get some good practice at it. All right, moving on. Right here on page 6, we have a little bit of a mistake here, just pointing it out. We're going to be putting that in the addendum. But the grant agreement execution period, although it says it started back in April of 2024, it's not true. It actually will start on April 21st this year and end by the 30th. So we try to get these contracts out as soon as possible. Okay, moving down. Next important thing. There's all this gobbledygook, which you definitely want to read through and check out. The next real important thing is right here, this project specifications. There is a section in scoring that you will see where they actually give you 10% for tying it to something that some county community plan has called out as important that fits this bucket of funds. So you might just want to take a gander in there and see if any of your projects fit. Like, for example, in the Kauai Destination Management Action Plan, they have callouts for signage or better visitor information or any number of things, better visitor interactions. Those kinds of things are important. And if you can call them out and go, hey, in the Visitor Destination Management Action Plan, it says that we should be doing this. And that's what my project is all about. So that's kind of what we mean by calling it out. And it helps you with your points because it's competitive. Coming in here you have 10% match requirement. So don't forget that it's cash match. I know at some events, nonprofits, gotta love them. They don't have a lot of cash they're running with. So we will also take things like gate. A lot of people don't even have money until they get their gate fees, especially when you're a brand new event. So, but you just need to figure out your 10% match requirement. That's cash. And then also a 10% match requirement in kind. And that can be your volunteers, but you're going to have to track some time and just say, hey, I got 10% just by having these poor 100 volunteers standing in the sun taking tickets or something like that. Okay, so we do have a project grant administration fee cap, and it's 10%. There's another place in this grant where it says 15, but it's not 15, it's 10. So 10% of the grant can be used on these types of things. And typically, these are small grants. So the administration is usually, what does it take to get not only the, make sure that you're getting your reporting done, but that you're, actually, that's what it is. It's really, what is it taking to get your reporting done to us? We have to have it. And I'll remind you probably 10 times, but these grants require a quarterly report. So every 3 months, we're going to be calling on you for a report. And that's because by law, we have to get one. And it's the only way that we can use this grant mechanism to give you funds. And you can see right there, there's all the things that it could cover. So you can kind of see. Now going down, okay, here's my favorite, Nalani's #1 hint of the day. I'm a grant writer. I totally sympathize with all you grant writers out there. The best way that I've been doing when I have to write grants is I put it all into a Word document. It's the best way and it makes it so fast. Put all your information into a Word document, every question that's going to be asked, then you fill it out. And then all you're going to be doing when you go up to SM Apply is you are just going to be cutting and pasting. It's wonderful. So you're going to have a file before, hopefully not on the last day, well before the last day, that's going to have all your answers that you're going to cut and paste. And then also all your documents. You're going to make sure all your documents are there, count them up. And then that's what you do the enter. And then when you get the response from SM Apply, you're done. And you can rest and tell the whole group that's depending on you that you did it. Here's some other information. You can read through this. Here's generally what the questions are, but what Sandy was nice enough to do was she downloaded the application so that you can see the questions. And so it's no problem for you to take that, put it in a Word document, and then answer the questions on your own time, getting all these types of questions done. Now, looking at some of these things, I just want to point out, there are things like project goals and project activities. Why, Nalani? Why would you ask for things like that? That seems complicated. Okay, there's a reason. It's because our reporting system has little check marks. And what it says is, in this quarter, what did they say they were going to do as part of their project goals and project activities? You need to figure out what those things are in each quarter so that we can put it in your report and tell you, and you can tell us whether or not you did them or not. So it takes a little bit of thinking. You want to have a good work plan that says, in these 3 months, I'm going to do this. In these 3 months, I'm going to do that. And if you can do that, then it's going to make all of this much easier for you. Moving along, let's see. There is a project budget. So there is a sheet. When you go into SM Apply, Sandy's going to explain this. You're going to have to download it. Now, when you download it, that's going to be the sheet where you put numbers. But in the SM Apply, there's a place where you have to do budget narrative. What is budget narrative? Well, budget narrative basically is you're breaking down that number. So you may have a line item that says tents, $2,000. Okay, tents are $2,000. In the narrative, you're going to say something like, okay, we know we need 2 20 by 40 tents, and that each of them are going to cost $1,000 to rent. And then that's going to be your breakdown in your narrative. That's basically what that is. And you do that with all your line items and try to explain more in detail what that cost is all about. And then we don't want you to have a miscellaneous expense over 500. That's way too high. Here's another mistake we're going to fix in the addendum. See there, the grant administration fee is 10% max. So we'll be fixing that. Moving right along. Okay, here is the fun part. Now is the time to go to your nonprofit, if you haven't done that in a while, and make sure they have all of these things. I've done this before, and sometimes one little document is missing. You need to get it. If you don't know what it looks like or what it's supposed to be, please, again, email us. We will send you a copy of one that we know exists so that you can see what you're looking for and try to give you hints. We're happy to do that. But you want to get these together now. It's very, very important. And this is the documents that you're going to be uploading into your computer somewhere in a folder that you're going to use on the day that you apply. Ones that's missing here is a W-9. We're going to be asking for that so that if you get funded, it's real easy for us to fund you. Moving down. Okay, evaluation criteria. When writing a grant, kind of look at these. So you want to make sure after you've done all your narrative that you're hitting the questions that are in here. Because let me tell you, people that are scoring, they're given like these matrices, and they say, okay, here's the points that you get for if they have covered these areas somewhere in their grant application. So you want to really take a good look at these things. These are important. They want to know something about it. If you have any questions, once again, please email us. Right here, special focus. Okay, that's where you want to see the alignment of your project to any of the plans that are out there from the community. But that's where that 10% part of the score is. We're going too fast. Let's keep going, keep going. Okay, I'm trying not to make you sick. Slowly, slowly. If you get funded, again, it's like the olden days. We still do 80% up front and 20% at the end. Here, going down. Reporting requirement. Once again, quarterly. We need a report quarterly, and not only a narrative, but we need a financial report. Okay, all new grant people. Read the contract now. If this contract isn't going to change much other than the red part, I mean, that will have your information if you get funded. But usually the contract will come over to whoever it is that's going to sign it, and they don't take time to read it. So as the grant writer, you really should read through this now and feedback any information to your nonprofit that you need to. Now's the time when you have the time to read one of these things. Things are fat and hard and complicated and sometimes don't even make sense to me. All right, here we go. Now this is what the questions look like. This is what we downloaded and we're going to be sending out, or Sandy can put it in the chat to everyone. So this is what it looks like, and she's going to really go through it. But this is what I want to encourage you to create on your computer in Microsoft Word or something, and fill the questions out before you have to move over there. There is the funding summary, how you have to ask for your money. This thing, make sure you get your 10% right. And this is basically what it looks like, what we'll be sending. Here is that part I talked about, goals and what you're going to be doing. And I kind of talked about it, but we need to know what you're supposed to be doing in any quarter so we can verify that you did it. So you really want to think about it. I know for most event people, it's very much of a regimented system of what you do and how you do it. So just got to get that down on paper and figure out where in the timeline it goes. Right here. Now, when you get to the project budget, and Sam's going to go through this, don't forget that. You can hardly see it because it's kind of blue, kind of black, but that's where you would download that project budget worksheet. So that's where that is. You download it, put in your numbers, put it back, and then right here is where that narrative breakdown goes. So you're going to make sure that's right there. Now, this is for other sources of funds that will finance your project. So this part in the budget sheet, which I will show you soon, should match the bottom part or the income. Okay, sorry. Well, let me just go real quick over there. Here it is. So this is what that expense sheet's going to look like. You're going to be filling this out. It should automatically fill. And then down here at the bottom, income, that's where, okay, other money that you have, that should go in there. So county grant is here. Oh my God, my organization is going to not only be giving a, 500 in cash, but we're also going to be doing fabulous volunteer work for that amount. And that's how that works. And just going back up here, once again, a reminder, you'll see it when you get to the end of your fake organization here. These are all the things that are going to have to be uploaded. And Sam's going to be talking about that next. And with that, are there any questions that we need to answer? Let me try and get out of here. I'm going to let Kaija do it. Can you get me out? Thank you. Let's see. Questions and answers.
So Nalani, one of the questions from Dee Dee is, what do you mean by 100% based on Kauai? Does this relate to the organization and or the project? Example, can a nonprofit with its office in Honolulu and projects on neighbor islands qualify?
Yeah, the only, the projects have to be on Kauai. That's what it is. We have had nonprofits that have main offices on other islands, and they just have a presence here on Kauai and they're doing the event here, but it can't be for Honolulu or Maui or any other island. It has to be for Kauai.
Okay, and next question from Judy. We would apply for funding for our season, which begins in July 2025 and ends in June 2026. Should we apply for funding for specific concerts within the season to be funded by the grant?
Yes. So you would do whatever the events are from July through
June.
June.
No.
Oh, yeah, no, July through, when does this
April.
application end?
Oh,
April-
it's
30th.
April 30,
April 30th.
through end of April 30, and then go for the next one for the next round. Or you could also, if you get the funds here, you could also go for funding from HTA. I'm always promoting that they have a lot of money for the other two, or whatever's in May and June, and just say it's a kind of a match for what you have here. There could be a lot of ways to make that work.
Next question from Angela. Are honorariums eligible expenses to pay area experts, cultural experts, kupuna, etc. for their time?
Absolutely.
Okay. Next question from
I'm so glad to
Jordan.
answer this one.
Are you using Amplifund?
No. There was a time for Amplify and it wasn't. We are using what's called SM Apply. Sandy's going to be going through that.
Okay. This is from Dee Dee. To be eligible, does a project have to show economic benefit, whether now or in the future? Would a project that is purely educational for residents qualify?
Yes, it would qualify.
Okay.
I mean, that would be a future, right? So residents would get this education. It's going to benefit them somewhere in the future that will hopefully help them
Okay.
economically.
Let's see. This one is from Rosetta. Is a separate work plan document required, or is the quarterly breakdown in the application sufficient?
The quarterly breakdown is fine, I believe. Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong.
Sorry, what was the question?
Is a separate work plan document required, or is the quarterly breakdown in the application sufficient?
The quarterly and the application is sufficient.
Let's see. One last question so far. This is from Sarah. Can you explain the admin fee for 10% on a simple $10,000 grant amount? Total ask being $10,000. Does that mean tracking and showing $1,000 in grant admin fee? Then the rest of the grant expenditures are $9,000. Does the match or in kind have to be the same percentage as the expenditures in the project budget, or just a total, or just of total amounts?
Sandy, you want to take that one?
So if it was a 10,000 grant, then your cash and in-kind would both be $1,000.
Yeah, up to 1,000 for admin. You don't have to take the admin, of course, but that's what we're allowing. But
Well,
you
I mean,
do
that's
have to come up
the
with
match, that's the match and the in-kind. So your grant administrative fee would actually be included in your expenses.
Right.
That makes sense. Let us know if that wasn't clear.
Okay, if it doesn't, we can answer the rest of the question that's asked or that was unclear. But Rosetta's asking, can grant funds be used to cover hospitality costs related to cultural exchange activities such as meals for visiting performers or special guests.
Yes, but travel's a little iffy, but meals, yes, I believe.
Okay. Rosetta says, wait, I don't know that I understand that. Okay,
Let's go back to that question.
let's go back to Rosetta's question.
It was the money. Can you explain the admin fee for 10% on a simple $10,000 grant amount? So the admin fee is just, we're allowing you 10% of that 10,000 to be used for admin, whether you want it or not. And then that 10,000, on top of the 10,000, you need to put in 10% cash and 10% in kind. Or you could do 20% cash and that's fine. But there has to be at least 10% cash. Is that better? All right, well, we'll come back to questions after.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Oh yeah, Sarah said, yes, thank you. Okay, we'll come back to questions after. Yes. So I guess we'll go on to, Sandy can speak about the SM apply.
Okay. Let's see, so starting now, we've gotten rid of Amplifund, thank God. Any of you have used it, I'm sure you know what I mean. We are now using the SM apply, SM standing for Survey Monkey. The link to the application is here, but it's also in the RFP. Okay, next slide. First thing you have to do is register your organization. Very basic questions. On the same page, you can also add other members of your organization that you might want to be able to apply for or help you out with this current application. Part of those members can become teams, and later on, if you have teams working on things, this application's fairly light, so I don't know what teams you might need, but if you do, you can have a bunch of people working on it at the same time. Eligibility, which will be my next slide. So this form will pop up after you're done with your organization to tell you what's required to be eligible for this grant, this specific grant. And they're just basic questions. Are you a 501c3, 4, or 6? Are you a registered nonprofit incorporated in the state of Hawaii? Is your purpose to provide services or activities to meet a distinctive cultural, social, or economic need? And then is your purpose to provide benefits to the people of the county of Kauai and or Ni'ihau? And if you have at least 1 year of experience with the project or program area that you're proposing. The last two are relating to other County of Kauai grants. So if you already have gotten a county grant for this same project, it's not eligible for this project. And that is just a County of Kauai grant. State and other types of grants is eligible. And then we just ask if you've spoken to anybody at OED. And then if you put yes on this, they'll ask you who. It's not required to speak to someone before applying. It's just informational for us. So if you get if you have yes to the first 5 answers and a no for the 6th answer, you will move on to the application page. So what you'll see is something like this: eligible programs. Sometimes we have more than one running at a time. Right now, we just have the Kauai Culture Programs and Events Grant. So you just click on more at this stage. And your next page is going to be the front page of the actual grant itself, which includes some information from the RFP. And then you'll see a apply button at the top. You just click on that and you go into the start of the application. So as you can see, the tasks is what they call them, are the pieces of the application. So on your first task, oh, sorry. Could you please go back? Your first task is your County of Kauai events program. That's the actual application itself. And then the second are really all mostly just attachments. So the budget, which you can also download from that same page, the template, the board of directors listing, the corporate resolution for authorized signature. That in particular is important because we have to know that who's ever signing for the grant agreement is actually authorized by your bylaws or articles to be able to sign. So if it's not very clear in your bylaws about who can sign, like if you say, oh, you know, our executive director can sign, but there's nothing in the bylaws that says that, then we need a corporate resolution signed stating that they're actually authorized. And then your current organization profit and loss statement, your bylaws signed, your operating budget for the year 2025, your COG certificate or your certificate of good standing with the DCCA. Your HCE compliance certificate can be uploaded here. It's not required for application, but it is required for funding. So if you don't have it now, we suggest you start applying for it as soon as possible, because you're gonna need, we won't be able to fund you if you can't get it. And then your IRS tax exempt status letter, and then your signed organization W-9. For again, if you have already, oh no, I'm sorry. This is if you've we just asked if you've received a grant in the past from the county. For people who have collaborative partners, and what I mean by that is, do you have a partner that you're partnering with that's not in your organization? Then you would enter that at the end of the organization. At the end of the organization portion of the application. So what if you click yes on this, it'll open up a name and address basically of who your collaborative partner is, and that will allow them to come in and be able to go in and out of your application as you need. Special conditions of grants to private organizations. This is nothing new. This has been on our application forever and ever. I'm not going to go through it word for word, but just basically, you know, legal jargon, comply with all applicable federal and state laws, licensing requirements, employment, blah, blah, blah. You're also going to be acknowledging that you've read and understood the RFP and the eligibility criteria, and that you know that the statements that you've made in the application are accurate, that you agree to submit quarterly reports without demand, and that you agree to return any or all of the funding if the project is not carried out as stated in the application, and then you'll be asked to sign for that. I'm sorry, could you go back one more? Sorry, yes, sorry. So at the bottom of this page, you're gonna see, actually the bottom of each page has previous, save and continue editing, and then on previous pages, it would say next. But this is the end of the application, so it says mark as complete. I highly recommend that every time you complete a page that you save and continue editing. What that will do is that'll do a run through of your application, and it'll check for errors. And if there's errors on it, you have to go back and correct it so you can save and continue editing. You can also save it for another day. It doesn't have to be the same day. Whenever you come back into the system, you can just start where you left off. On the final page, which is this one where you sign, you're gonna do the save and continue editing, and then mark as complete. Mark as complete means you're going to submit the application. Next page. Once you click that, you'll come to this page, which is where you're gonna be uploading your documents and finalizing the actual application. You can still review and go back and change anything you want onto your application. And then there's a list on the left of all the uploads that are required. There's a little scroll bar right here in the middle. Make sure you go all the way down because you can't see everything that's required in this one screenshot, but this is what it's going to look like on a full screen. So it pretty much tells you on the bottom 1 of 10, 1 of 2 of 10, 3 of 10, or whatever. If you haven't uploaded something, it's not going to show 10 of 10. So, you know, you just need to scroll down for that. And then when you're done uploading everything, you have 10 of 10, and then there's a submit button on the bottom. You click submit, and then this is what it's going to say. It's going to basically say, oops, one more back. It'll basically say, ask you if you want to review it again. And if so, then you just click review and it'll go back to the application to review. And then once you're satisfied, you can just press the submit button. Once that happens, you're going to get this, this note, and you can, this page, you can always come back to your application. You can still see it. You can go into your account and see your application. We are using a workflow in this, so you're going to be able to see where we're at with awards at any given time. You can always go back to your application to see where it's at. If there's any other programs, you can also just click on that if you want to apply. You can submit, again, I think Michelle went over it. You can submit more than one application per organization as long as they're different projects. I also highly recommend that you download your application. And you can do that by going back in, looking at your application, and then up here at the right-hand corner, you'll see 3 dots. If you click that, it'll give you an option to download it, and it'll download it to your computer for safekeeping. And then this is when you go back in, this is what you're going to see. If you have 2 applications, you'll see this. You can see one of them's come submitted, and then one of them's just partially completed. Help options up here on the right. If you click the I, if you're having any kind of questions about the program or the information on the RFP, if you click on that envelope, you can send in an email directly to me. If you need help with something with the SurveyMonkey Apply, that's going to take you to their help page. And they have some good tips. It's a fairly basic system. I think everyone can pretty much get it. And then if you're having any kind of technical issues with the site, it keeps crashing, you forgot your password, you want to add someone and it's not letting you, then you need to file a support ticket at that bottom, having technical issues with this site. That's when you would click on that. That's it. Any questions? There was a,
Sandy.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Michelle.
Melanie. Oh, okay. Dee Dee is asking, is there a list of previous grantees under this program that can be made available to us?
It's been so long since we've done this. I can try.
We have a list of older grants, I think, somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that's
just,
gonna
you're
help
gonna
you,
have
though.
to give us we can come up with the list when we do the addendum, if not sooner. It'll take us a while to go back in time because this was done pre-COVID. So we just gotta work our way backwards. And then someone asked if it was, if they should list a collaborative partner in that section if they're not financially responsible for anything or in our budget, rather just benefiting from the work in our project event, we would be sharing about the community collaboration in our narrative. So collaboration, I think, is a good thing. It's something that our office really believes in, partnerships. But it would be more the collaborative partner would be somebody that's actually helping you put this project together versus somebody that's going to benefit from your project.
Next question is from Jordan. If bylaws state who is authorized, do we need to have the resolution as well?
No.
No. As long as it clearly states it.
Do we have any more questions? Question from Sarah. By adding someone in that collaborative partner, do they have to submit work or documents as well, or just vouch for the project?
Really what the collaborative partner is somebody who's helping to work on the grant agreement. So if you have somebody who's, say, a nonprofit's hired an outside person to do their grant writing, but there's a specific portion that they can't fill out, say maybe the budget or whatever, then that's really what a collaborative partner is. Somebody who's helping you fill out this application. I mean, for the purposes of this grant.
Last call for questions. Do we have any more questions?
We did put in the chat all the links, everything from the sample application that you can pull. We'll put that up on the website too, so that you can see what the questions are, get them into your Microsoft document so you can fill things out. I also put in a copy of the RFP that I had with all the yellows and highlights and circles, what to remember. So you can take that. We'll put that up as well. What is the total funds available? Approximately 140,000. A little more is possible. We can find it.
Okay, so we do have if you guys have any more questions or between now and next week, Tuesday the 18th, OED grants at kauai.gov. If you want to view the RFP again, it's housed at kauai4.com/grants/
It's in the chat too.
It's in the chat as well. But thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Hold on, I got one more question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Where were you? Okay, the RFP with my notes is actually in the chat right now, so you can download it, or we'll put that up on the Kauai Forward website where the RFP is located.
Maybe I'll just wait like a minute so people can download that from the chat.
It says RFP, etc. example for webinar. That's the one. And then right above it is the sample application, which has all the questions.
We'll put those on Kauai.gov also, OED.
Yeah, we'll stick it on all the places where this RFP information's at.
So we appreciate your guys' time. We hope you found the session super valuable. And we're super excited to see what type of applications come through. Again, if you have any questions, need assistance, feel free to reach out to us. And in the meantime, don't forget to review your details and do not forget to submit before the deadline, April 3rd, 4 p.m. Thank you so much.
Write your applications.
Aloha.
Aloha.